Welcome back to Terrible at Fishing. And I'm fishing actually on Lake of the Woods. Really windy day, white capping. I am on a horsey ride today. But what's so interesting is something that's happening to our lake right now and will happen to every lake real soon, actually. It's a little early for this lake, but it's called inversion. Inversion is where the warm water and cold water, they trade places. And this barrier that's in between them is called a thermocline. You probably heard it before. It's a strange name for a barrier between warm and cold water. It's kind of a dead zone. And the cold water fish are below it this time of year. Warm water fish are above it. So what ends up happening twice a year is that they trade places. So you can imagine when this happens is that the thermocline, when these things trade, when warm and cold trade places, it gets smaller, shrinks till it disappears, and then it grows again. What ends up happening is that the warm and cold water change places. How can you tell? Well, there's a few ways of understanding when an inversion happens to your water body. When that happens, a lot of times in a lot of lakes that have a lot of sediment in it, it'll churn. And the clarity of the lake that used to have like 8 feet of clarity becomes like 1 foot. And so the water becomes murkier. At that point, you know that something's happening in the water. And so that's one way of understanding. Surface temperature, weather, these things all have a bearing on your lake's temperature, of course. So your surface temperature, like Friday, it was 71 degrees surface temperature at Lake of the Woods, but my bass were 25 feet deep. Now, that's weird, right? Because at 71 degrees, you're usually topwater fishing, right? Well, it's getting a headache here. The bass were diving, and they're living at 25 feet. So, what did that tell me? It told me that the bass knew something I didn't. That they sensed an inversion change. The thermocline was shrinking, so they were following the thermocline down. And when I had to fish deeper for warm water fish, that told me that the inversion had started. It's like right now, it's windy out here, guys. And I'm throwing a finesse bait in the wind. Watch the Aldebaran soon, really good. That's because I'm facing you guys. I'm mad at me facing this way. It's just where the belt was. So, you look on your fish finder, and you start to see less life in the upper area. And you start to see it in the lower area. That means those fish are following the thermocline shrinking. Now, in Lake of the Woods here, I'm just rocking. Lake of the Woods here, it happens really quick. Now, you look at the forecast, this week, it's going to get in the 40s here. At Lake of the Woods, it'll get into freezing temperatures. And that will dramatically change the way this lake fishes. Because my guess is that the thermocline will disappear in the next 2 days, 48 hours. That's how fast it happens. It'll just go, because right now at 25 feet, which is half the depth of the lake, but I'm not seeing trout up here yet, it's going to disappear probably tomorrow. Then what's going to happen as the cold weather comes in is going to really reduce the surface temperature. So that brings that cold water up, and now they're going to switch places. And now the cold water fish are going to start coming up. So we've been fishing, if you were a trout fisherman, you've been fishing trout 35 feet deep here. Well, today you're probably doing it 35 feet, 30 feet. They're starting to get a little confused. So this weekend, the trout will be up shallow. Yeah, you can catch a trout off the shore, the bank, which you couldn't do today. You can't do it today. But I'm going to fish over here. Hopefully catch something on the tutorial. Then, when that happens, we're set for the winter. Kind of. Really want this lake to freeze up this year. And so all those people that were fishing last week are going to come out next week, be completely out of their element, because they won't understand that the lake changed on them that fast. And it will change. It will change that fast. Because in the next 48 hours, the inversion is going to happen at this lake. And you can understand that by how deep the warm water fish or cold water fish, where they are at, especially the warm water fish, they're going to be following it down. As the thermocline pushes, the warm water fish are going to dive. And then the cold water fish will say howdy as they pass each other this week. Now the cool thing is, got one. Cool thing is, I nice Lord. There he goes. Anyway, I fell off. Maybe I should have used that, but he was going back in anyway. That's about it. 30%. And so, but I'm catching these fish like at 20 feet. Lake. I ended up casting over it. When the thermocline disappears, if you're one of the fortunate fishermen to understand it, then you will love fishing that day, because all the fish are in the same water column. So this week on Wednesday will be a shared community event on Lake of the Woods, because all the fish will be in the same water column. The largemouth, the smallmouth, the brown trout, the rainbow trout, the salmon, everything will be sharing the same water column, because there will be no thermal, and they're going to be on sort of an exodus as they change their water column. There's a lot of ways here. So I hope that you understand that. So there are indicators. One, murkiness of the water. When it wasn't before, that'll tell you that something's happening in the water. Where your fish, warm water fish are, that tells you that if they're going deeper, and all of a sudden top water wasn't hitting, you're going square bill cranks and round bills and deep divers, and you were catching them, or you're using soft plastics like I'm using, and you're catching them near at 20, 25 feet water. Those fish are following the thermocline. They can see it because they feel it. We can't. So, but we can see them. So that's another indicator. Weather patterns. All right? We've had cold evenings. That tells that the lake is starting to chill a little bit. Surface temperature, dramatic reduction. We're losing 1 degree a day right now. We'll lose more than that this week. Anyway, all these things tell you about the inversion. Now you know what a thermocline is, because in a week, the thermocline will grow and separate the bass on the bottom and the trout on top. And now you know how to fish it. And if you're smart, Wednesday, this week, you will come out here and catch anything and everything in the same watercolor. How cool is that? That's just cool. But that's inversion. Twice a year. Spring, fall. It's summer though. Normally it doesn't happen for another 2 weeks at this lake, but nothing's normal. The fish told me on Friday what was happening, and I didn't believe it until I came out today, on Monday. And I'm just catching them, boom, 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 at 25 feet. So I want you guys to sort of understand that. So when you go to the lake this week, see if it's happening in your neck of the woods. Now, it's happening at Lake of the Woods, where this is at a 5,000 foot level. If I went to a 1,500 foot level, which is like Willow Lake, it's not happening there yet. So if I want to extend my bass season, I will chase the summer. Sort of like endless summer, okay, for surfing. Well, bass fishermen go for an endless summer too. We will chase warm water in certain lakes in, reasonable geography, not around the world like Endless Summer did. Great movie, by the way. And so I can chase warmer waters at different elevations for a few weeks in order to extend my season. And that's what a lot of bass fishermen will do. They might even go to the southern states, Texas or Florida, in order to really extend their, you guys put down in comments if you live in Florida or Texas, do you guys have a fall like? You must have a very brief inversion period to where, your inversions are back to back, almost, your two. So, but anyway, let's see if I can catch a few fish on this recording, besides the one you saw me, drop back into the lake. See if we can get another bass, maybe we can snip it in.